I'm Nan McCurdy, a member of the Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition, and here's Nicaragua news for June 2023. According to the annual World Economic Forum 2023 Gender Gap Index, Nicaragua has ranked in 7th place worldwide in gender equality and 1st place in all of the Americas. Nicaragua also has the strongest parliamentary representation in the world, with 51.65% of seats in its National Assembly being held by women. Nicaragua is also #1 in women professional and technical workers, women's educational attainment, women's literacy, women's enrollment in third-level education, and women in ministerial positions. Homicide Monitor found Nicaragua with the lowest homicide rate in the region, with 7.3 per 100,000 inhabitants. Next is Costa Rica with 11.4, Panama 12.8, El Salvador 16.7, Guatemala 16.6, Mexico 25.8, and Honduras 41.2. The Pan American Health Organization reported last week that with 94.7% of the population fully vaccinated against COVID-19, Nicaragua is the country in Central America with the highest percentage of fully vaccinated population. On June 27, 1986, the World Court condemned the United States for illegal war and aggression against Nicaragua and ordered the U.S. to compensate Nicaragua to the tune of $17 billion, what today would be more than $55 billion. On June 27, President Daniel Ortega sent a letter to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, which said, Nicaragua takes the opportunity to recall that there is a historical debt with the Nicaraguan people that 37 years later has not been settled by the United States. Ortega went on to say, it is an obligation clearly established in a final judgment of the International Court of Justice. On June 27, 1986, the International Court of Justice condemned the U.S. and directed it to compensate Nicaragua for all damages caused as a consequence of military activities against Nicaragua. In a situation of armed aggression, such as that carried out by the U.S., no amount of reparation, neither economic nor moral, could compensate for the devastation of the country, the loss of human lives, and the physical and psychological wounds of the Nicaraguan people. The court decided that the United States had a legal obligation to make economic reparations to Nicaragua for all the damages caused. The president continued, the compensation due to Nicaragua remains unpaid. He noted that instead of receiving compensation as is morally and legally due, Nicaragua continues to be the object of a new form of aggression, which consists of sanctions and also an attempted coup d'etat. In finishing, Ortega said that Nicaragua takes the opportunity to recall that the judgments of the International Court of Justice are final and of obligatory compliance, and therefore the United States has the obligation to comply with the reparations ordered by the ruling of June 27, 1986. The Sao Paulo Forum approved a resolution in support of Nicaragua's demand for compliance with the 1986 ruling of the World Court at The Hague. The Sao Paulo Forum is the premier forum of revolutionary organizations, movements, and parties of Latin America and the Caribbean. They passed a resolution in support of Nicaragua's demand that the Hague ruling be complied with by the United States, which has promoted invasions, wars, and destruction. The Sao Paulo Forum declared itself in support of Nicaragua's demand that the U.S. comply with the ICJ sentence and compensate Nicaragua to the full extent of that historic ruling. Biden nominates death squad backer Elliott Abrams to diplomacy panel. President Joe Biden said on July 3rd that he would nominate Elliott Abrams to a position on the United States Advisory Commission on Public Diplomacy. Abrams was a supporter of the worst human rights violations in Central America in the 1980s and has been guilty of similar human rights abuses since. Abrams pleaded guilty to 2 Iran-Contra offenses and defended in testimony before Congress the 1981 massacre at El Mozote in El Salvador, where the U.S. trained and equipped Salvadoran military killed as many as 1,000 civilians. Elliott Abrams, enemy of human rights, apologist for mass murder, should have no place within spitting distance of any Democratic administration, stated Slate journalist Alex Salmon. Nicaragua Solidarity activists believe that President Biden is showing utter contempt for the human rights of the people of Nicaragua and of other countries who have suffered so much already at the hands of the U.S. by nominating Elliott Abrams to a diplomacy commission. This nomination must be withdrawn by the president or stopped in the Senate. Please write urgently to President Biden, to your senators, and to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, demanding that the nomination be withdrawn. Nicaraguan activists and government representatives participated on June 3rd in a hearing of the International People's Tribunal on Nicaragua, with the presentation of 9 testimonies by victims of U.S. aggression. The testimonies covered U.S. support for the dictator Anastasio Somoza, Ronald Reagan's Contra war in the 80s, and the 2018 attempted coup. Nicaraguan activist Camilo Mejia spoke about the 2018 U.S.-backed coup attempt, in which they also financed false news on social networks and written media that were at the service of the coup plotters in the United States. The International People's Tribunal on U.S. imperialism, sanctions, blockades, and economic coercive measures is holding a series of hearings on the impact of U.S. sanctions on 16 countries in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Finance Minister Ivana Costa described the great damage that U.S. imperialism has caused to the people of Nicaragua. Denunciation of U.S. policies and actions is one of many ways to defeat the illegal and unethical policy of sanctions implemented by the United States and the European Union, Acosta said. He urged building an international consensus on the illegality of these measures, as well as the taking of legal action against this violation of international law and human dignity. We close by insisting that the best attitude of the world's peoples is to condemn, as in fact we are requesting before this tribunal to condemn firmly and without any appeal the U.S. and its cronies for the damage caused by the sanctions that have been implemented, demanding a just reparation for the damage caused, he said. Nicaragua launched a mobile application for earthquake alerts that the population can download to their phones to know ahead of time when earthquakes are going to happen. On June 30th, more than 2 million citizens participated in a national life-saving drill for preparation and protection of life in situations caused by natural phenomena like earthquakes, floods, and fires. During the national influenza vaccination campaign, 594,000 doses were administered for a 99% compliance with the goal. Nicaragua has built 25 new modern hospitals since 2007 and has by far the most hospitals in the region. The construction of the hospitals in León, Nueva Zelanda, and the Caribbean are advancing quickly. US 72 million is being invested in the Nueva Segovia Departmental Hospital, which will have 236 beds and 5 operating rooms, where 40 surgeries will be performed daily. The 2023 nutritional census surveyed 1,425,806 boys and girls from 0 to 14 between January and May of this year, and found amazing results. From 2022 to 2023, acute malnutrition of children between the ages of 0 and 6 years was reduced 9.3%, and chronic malnutrition fell 8.2%. Acute malnutrition between the ages of 6 and 14 fell 13%, and chronic malnutrition was reduced by 4.3%. With this data, programs like Zero Hunger, Family Gardens, school lunches, food production packages, and the Family Support Plan will be strengthened, enhancing efforts to achieve nutritional goals through these programs, through vaccination and periodic weight and height monitoring of the children. More than 5,000 women received attention in a mega health fair in Bilwi on the Caribbean coast, with health attention for more than 5,000 mostly indigenous women. 60 maternal and fetal specialists provided attention to the women. Within the framework of the Green I Want You Green campaign, Nicaragua has cultivated more than 1 million ornamental forest and fruit plants in 2023 in the 182 nurseries that make up part of the campaign. These will be planted in public spaces such as parks, boulevards, squares, and avenues. On the 5th anniversary of the kidnapping, torture, and murder during the 2018 coup attempt of Bismarck Martinez, a Managua municipal worker, thousands of Sandinistas, relatives, and co-workers remembered Bismarck with affection and with more commitment to struggle. At the place where his martyred body was buried, close to the Jinotepe Municipal Stadium, an obelisk in his honor was unveiled, and he was named Hero of Love and Peace. There's also a very large housing program all over the country in his name. The program to finance production and small businesses, called Adelante, provided $9.65 million to 5,358 small farmers and entrepreneurs between January and May this year to strengthen the quality and competitiveness of products and services they offer. The government has established cultural schools in 159 new communities where courses in areas such as dance, singing, choir, guitar, drawing, and painting are taught. The mayor's offices contribute to the restoration of the right to culture of children, young people, and adults, guaranteeing art for all in the rural and urban areas. US $3 million has been invested to expand the Messiah Departmental Technical Center, ensuring greater access for 6,415 students to free quality technical training. In the first quarter of 2023, the Institute of Housing built 2,000 houses out of the 9,000 projected for this year. Currently, there are 22 affordable housing projects. Families have access to a subsidy applicable to the credit so that they can have access to a house. Another government program in 63 municipalities is in charge of the construction of housing for families in extreme poverty. The Women's Technical Training Center of El Qua in the Department of Matagalpa opened on May 29th and will train more than 2,000 young people in special courses taught by the National Technological Institute, INTA. It has classrooms and research labs, training and technology development areas to obtain better results for production with the energy of Matagalpan women. Work will be done on production of seeds, composting, vegetable matter for coffee crops, non-traditional crops, and courses for agro-tourism. There are now 221 women's police stations in Nicaragua. On May 31st, the second women's police station opened in Rosita, part of the mining triangle. And on June 1st, a station was opened in Bocana de Paiwas. Thousands of visits to women in their homes to ensure that they understand the concepts, the model, the practices of citizen security, security in the family, security in the face of disasters, and above all, how to advance in the prevention of crimes against women. Thanks so much for being with us. Tune in next month for July Nicaragua news, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.